Hi, I'm Lori Olson. I'm a Christian psychotherapist. When I was an undergrad, we were still being taught that the human brain was basically fixed by around the age of 25. The common belief was that by the time we reached adulthood, our brain structure, habits, and patterns were more or less set in stone. In other words, we could add new information, but we couldn't fundamentally change how we operated. That belief left many people feeling stuck, especially those struggling with long-standing emotional patterns, addiction, or relational dysfunction. But today, thanks to breakthroughs in neuroscience, we know that's simply not true. The discovery of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire and reconfigure itself, is one of the most hope-filled advances in modern science. And here's the beautiful news. Neuroplasticity isn't just a childhood phenomenon. It continues across our entire lifespan. Now, it's true that the brain is most plastic during childhood. That's why children are especially sensitive to both nurturing and harm. Their brains are literally shaped by their experiences. But just as children can be deeply impacted by poor parenting or trauma, they can also learn, heal, and recover, especially when given safe, loving, and supported environments. That same principle holds true for us as adults. You probably heard the phrase, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks." Neuroscience now shows us this isn't really true, but it feels true for a reason. As we age, our brains become incredibly efficient, especially in the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain. We develop automatic shortcuts for how we think, feel, and respond. These shortcuts are created through repetition, and they become physically reinforced by a substance called myelin. It acts like insulation on the electrical wires. It allows signals to fire faster and more efficiently. That's why certain reactions feel instantaneous and why change can feel so slow. But here's the key. These patterns are not who you are. They are simply what you've practiced, what your brain has learned to do, to keep you safe, functional, or connected in some way, even though those old strategies are no longer serving you today. And yes, change takes more effort as we age because those well-worn pathways are fast and familiar. But research confirms that older adults can still rewire their brain. And not just in small ways. Major behavioral, emotional, and even spiritual changes are possible through focused attention, intentional practice, and the power of relationship. This is part of the mystery and mercy of how God designed us. Romans chapter 12, verse 2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Neuroscience confirms what Scripture told us long ago, that renewal, true transformation, is possible. And yes, it takes repetition. Yes, it may take longer than you would like, but every time you pause, pray, practice a new thought, or choose a new action, you are changing the structure of your brain. You are participating in the miracle of neuroplasticity. You are not stuck. You are not too old. You are not beyond healing. God's grace, coupled with your willingness, is enough to begin.